Hi, this is Luke from Inza Chaos, and today I'll be taking a look at the crowdfunding of ISS Vanguard by Awaken Realms. If you don't already know, ISS Vanguard is a space opera adventure cooperative board game for 1 to 4 players. And as of recording right now, we have hit just over 3.9 million US dollars. That's currently backed by just a little bit over 24,000 backers, with 1 day and 16 hours to go. So, what is ISS Vanguard? Now, ISS Vanguard is about essentially a space exploration board game where you and your players will control a ship, and in the ship you'll be exploring the universe and systems and planets around you. And while doing so, you'll be researching and upgrading your technologies based on what you found, and as well as managing each of your crew members. As a player, you're there to lead 1 of 4 sections. So you've got your engineering section, the scientific section, recon section, and the security section. And while doing so, you'll lead a team of crew under that section, and while you explore the planets around you. So let's take a look at the rewards. So the base game is essentially just a core box. It's 99 US dollars. It's decent value, and I'll get into why this is also quite a decent value. But one for the best value, I think, is the Commander's Pledge, which includes these miniatures. Now, not everyone likes miniatures, but at the same time, for 179, it's actually quite a decent price for that. And now, the reason why I've decided to record today instead of earlier is because they've now included a gameplay all-in pledge. So this is where you'll get essentially the Commander Pledge, plus a personnel file, as well as a Deadly Frontier expansion. Now, I won't really go into the group pledge, but otherwise you'll get a 10% discount if you and your friends manage to order 6 of these together. Then you'll save some money on the game as well as some shipping. So let's take a look at the add-on. So like I said, the personnel files expansion. So what this does is it adds essentially another upgrade or experience, which is your veteran state of each of your crew members. So this is, for me, this is actually quite a decent add-on, because it's more ways to improve your crew. The next one's the Deadly Frontier campaign. Well, it's a campaign, so more campaigns is always more welcome. Then you've got your collectibles, where you've got your sun drop. So if you don't know what sun drop is essentially what is referred to as a dip method, where you dip the miniature into kind of a shading paint, and then you kind of shake it off, and where the paint resides will give it a sort of a highlight and a shadow to your miniature, which really makes those miniature pop. This is great for people who don't like to, or don't have the time to paint their miniatures, and they just want their miniatures to pop that little bit extra without having to spend all that time painting it. Then you've got essentially an art book, and that's up to you guys whether you think that's worth it or not. I think historically art books don't really hold its value all that much, but if you like the universe, then by all means get the art book. So let's take a quick through of the stretch goals. So the stretch goals is, the first one's the Lone Wolf. So you're playing as a single explorer, and it's just an extra campaign that is given you. They also give you a few other scenarios, and the main core of the stretch goal, which really makes this backing it early really worth it, is this one here, this Lost Fleet. The Lost Fleet actually adds a whole brand new campaign to your original core box. And also, you get this secret envelope, which which as you slowly explore the universe, they will slowly review more and more content to your gameplay. Now, I do like this, except I do find it a little bit weird where you have a secret envelope here. However, when you look at the, where is it? When you look at the rewards of the miniatures, you can clearly see these monsters already. So they're hiding some content, but at the same time they're also revealing these kind of content. And like for me, this looks super badass. Now, like this for me, if it was hidden and it was reviewed when we actually get to it, would have been super amazing. But I do get why Awakened Realms did this, because crowdfunding has historically been more about miniatures, and people love to see miniatures. So this is still quite good. I guess I'll miss out on enjoying the surprise, but it's still worthwhile. So let's start with my concerns. My concerns is the number of crew members available to you. So what I mean by that, let's see if I can find one. So they say we have 90 crew members. The problem I have with the 90 crew members is there actually 90 crew members, or is there, say, 45 crew members? And what I mean by 45 crew members is a lot of the time is you might have this, and maybe the name is different. If the name's different, that's not a brand new crew member. That's just a reskin of an original crew member. And for me, that's very hit and miss in terms of what I would expect. Because yes, they say that with 90 members, you can fill your crew twice over. Now, my problem with that is if your crew members are dying left, right, and center, then you're not really playing the game very well, because your crew members shouldn't be dying that often. So you really want to be keeping that crew, and having crew members with the exact same power is not that great to me. Like that's not really a variable play. Now, my next concern is one of the updates. So one of the updates is this. So I do like that Awakened Realms is listening to us, but it's also quite late in the game to really try and change up, I guess, how things are rolled or how things are pushed. And I don't know whether the gameplay will be impacted by what they've chose to change so late in the game, like whether this will be tested properly or not. And as always, my concerns around player, there'll always be whether like a player will quarterback the whole thing and start yelling at everyone to tell them what to do, as opposed to everyone just kind of like working cooperatively. The next part is that ship phase, which I would like to call it as the Vanguard phase, because there is really only one ship, which is the ISS Vanguard. So the ISS Vanguard is each of the sections can have its own role. Now, early on, I can imagine everyone's pretty engaged, but once you get further down the campaign, we may have a chance of player disconnecting when it's not their phase. And so if it's a science phase, the science will do their thing, and then everyone else will just kind of like wander off and do their own things, and not be as engaged. But we'll see what happens when this really comes through. Now, what I really like to go this game, actually wait, before I go that, let's take a look at, let's see, before I do that, let's take a look at shipping. I've lost my mouse here. Right, so I'm from New Zealand, and so shipping to New Zealand, there tends to be what I like to call the New Zealand tax. And the New Zealand tax means we're so far away, so which means anything that gets to us is super expensive. Now, over here, however, if you look at the shipping values aren't actually too bad. For like, if you can see what I've got the Dreadnought pledge, and for the Dreadnought pledge is $41 US dollars to New Zealand. And if you compare it to everyone else, it's actually not too bad except for Poland. Like Poland is really cheap, so I'm assuming this is going to be made in Poland, so that's why they can get it so cheap. But for $41 compared to everyone else is pretty good. And talking about value for money, this is where I go. What was it? Shipping I would look at is about a third of the cost of the board game is what I would consider decent shipping. Anything more than a third, you're really pushing it, and it comes down to really whether you really want the game or not. So at the core pledge at $31 shipping to New Zealand, it's not too bad. The better one will be $35 for the commander pledge, which you're paying extra $4 US dollars shipping just to ship miniatures to New Zealand. Now that's a really good deal for an extra box. And with the Dreadnought pledge, you're paying essentially an extra $10 US dollars compared to the core pledge to get all the gameplay components. Now, after talking about that, what I really like about this game, now there was a game, well, there was two games actually. One of them, both of them are on Kickstarter. One of them was called Frostpunk. So Frostpunk has this penalty of the decisions that you make, and I really like that hard decisions that you have to make. Like neither one of them are good decisions, but one decision is, I guess, less evil than the other, and neither of them are correct, but neither of them are also wrong altogether. And the other game is USS Freedom. Now USS Freedom also has a very similar premise to ISS Vanguard. Now the problem I have with USS Freedom is their characters mean nothing. You can upgrade the ship, but the characters, they have effects, they don't improve, and they'll simply die. So for me, ISS Vanguard is the best of both worlds. It's the best of both Frostpunk and USS Freedom. And what I really like about it is you can upgrade the Vanguard and the landers. You can upgrade the characters. The scenarios seem very varied. It's not just all planet. There is somewhere, there's somewhere you're on the lander and you're skipping along ice rocks and so forth. But it's all within the game itself. And what I also found really liked is the secret aspect of that stretch goal that I mentioned. There's some stuff that's going to be hidden and it's only going to be revealed to us when we get to it. And I really do like that kind of stuff in my campaign games, because I like to be surprised as to what's there and what's not. Now, what I really find odd, there is a couple of things that are odd about this. One is movement. Movement for me is weird because you can fail to move, but why would you fail, right? The events might not actually tell you why you fail. So you might fail and then you may get a benefit, maybe. You may get a negative, like your punctured suit, or nothing happens. And so for me, that's kind of odd. I'd rather prefer that you can just move, and maybe the removal of the dice is more like a stamina thing. So I'm kind of okay about that. But personally, I really prefer that you can just move, or if something required to roll, then you roll, and based on the outcome, there will be a penalty, and the penalty might be some kind of event card that you have to flip over. But failing and then nothing happens, it's just, for me, it's a little bit weird. The next one that I also find a bit weird is the landers. Now, if you're on a ship, right, and you've got a lander, why would you have 6 different landers? Ideally, there's one, potentially 2 types of landers. One may be more combat oriented, one may be more cargo oriented, and based on that, then there's you choose one of two, and then you choose your upgrade path. So I like the choosing of the upgrade path of my different landers. Like I can make one lander more to have more cargo. I can make that cargo lander to have a little bit of defense against it. I could also make the more I guess attacking lander to have more agility to it. So the fact that I have 6 different ones is a bit odd. I think realistically in any spaceship, they will only have probably up to 2 landers, and then they'll upgrade it as they go along. Yep, but other than that, that's what I really think that's odd. But as you can see, I've pledged for the Dreadnought pledge, which is the gameplay all in. I've also added the sum job. I'm super excited about this game.